Two civilizations, one sea, and a hatred that would shake the ancient world to its foundation. Carthage born of fire and sea. Rome built on iron and law, neither could share the world. Carthage held the west, Rome held Italy. Between them, a sea soaked in old blood. At 9 years old, a boy swore an oath before the flames. Rome would pay, every coin, one eye gone, one eye left. And that one eye saw battlefields no Roman general ever imagined. New Carthage, the war machine fully loaded, elephants, mercenaries, ambition, all pointed north toward Rome. 90,000 men, every race of the ancient world. One commander, one impossible plan. March. The sea route was Rome's. So Hannibal chose the land. Over mountains no army had ever crossed. The Pyrenees fell behind them. Gaul waited ahead. The point of no return passed under 90,000 feet. The Rhone was wide, fast, and full. Hannibal crossed it anyway, elephants, cavalry, infantry, and all. A Roman consul arrived at the river. Too late. The Carthaginians were already gone. The war had moved. Then the Alps appeared. Permanent, white, merciless. Every general before Hannibal had looked at them and turned back. Men walked the ledges 1 foot wide above 1,000-foot drops, wrapped in stolen clothes, freezing, still moving. Gallic tribes attacked from above. Boulders crushed the column. Elephants screamed. Nobody stopped, nobody went back. The summit, Italy below, green, warm, alive. The boy who swore the oath was now looking at his target. 26,000 survivors descended into Italy, half of what left Iberia. Still the most dangerous army on earth. Trebia. Hannibal fed Roman anger, let them cross a freezing river, then sprang the trap from behind. The Romans waded chest deep into ice water. Disciplined, certain, completely unaware that the battle was already over. The hidden force erupted from the reeds. Front, rear, both flanks. 60,000 Romans, gone in hours. Rome lost its first Italian battle. 10,000 survivors walked south. For the first time, Rome was afraid. The Senate met in cold marble silence. No panic, no surrender. Just Rome doing what Rome does, organizing. Hannibal forced the Arno marshes in spring, wading through disease and swamp for 4 days. He lost his other eye. Lake Trasimene, the narrow pass, the hills above, the lake behind. Flaminius marched his army straight into the mouth, morning fog. Attack from all sides at once. 15,000 Romans died before they saw a single enemy face. The consul Flaminius fought on foot after his horse fell. Cut down in the same fog his army died in. 15,000 dead, a consul killed. The Senate invoked the emergency. Rome appointed a dictator for the first time in a generation. Fabius Maximus. Old, patient. No speeches. No battles. Just shadows on the hills, watching. Waiting, refusing to play. Hannibal marched. Hannibal maneuvered. Hannibal offered battle every day. Fabius watched from the high ground and did nothing. So Hannibal burned Campania. Black smoke from the horizon to rise, forcing Rome to watch its richest land turn to ash. Cannae, 216 BCE, the center would retreat. The flanks would hold, then wheel, then close. The perfect geometric trap. Rome fielded 80,000 men, the largest army in its history. Hannibal had 50,000 and a plan. The legions advanced. Dense. Unstoppable. The Carthaginian center gave way exactly as planned, pulling the Roman mass forward into nothing. The flanks wheeled inward. Cavalry sealed the rear. 80,000 men surrounded. No room to lift a sword. Inside the ring, darkness. Heat. Men dying from compression before any blade reached them. The most efficient killing ground ever built. 70,000 Romans lay dead across the plain by sunset. The river ran red. The wind moved across silence. A chest of gold rings, taken from the fingers of dead senators and knights. Proof of what one afternoon had done. The Senate sat in mourning dress and heard the numbers, then sat in silence. No voice moved to negotiate peace. The survivors arrived at Rome's gates, and the people turned them away as cowards. The Senate opened the gates and drafted them. Maharbal told Hannibal, "Ride now. Rome in 5 days." Hannibal said no. Historians are still arguing about that decision. Capua opened its gates. The second city of Italy chose Carthage. Hannibal's strategy of breaking Rome's alliances had started to work. Winter in Capua, warm baths, full markets, soft beds. The army that crossed the Alps began to remember what comfort was. Year by year, the map changed, Rome rebuilt. Roman allies drifted back. Hannibal's zone of control quietly began to shrink. Hannibal wrote to Carthage, send men, send supplies, send anything. The Senate debated. The factions argued. Nothing came. His brother Hasdrubal crossed the Alps with the second army. The same passes. The same cold. A last desperate hope moving south. Roman cavalry caught Hasdrubal's messengers before they reached Hannibal. One letter changed everything. One consul rode north immediately. Medarus River, 207 BCE, Hasdrubal's army caught before it could link with Hannibal. Destroyed in an afternoon beside a river, nobody remembers. A Roman cavalry party rode to Hannibal's camp and threw something over the wall. It was his brother's head. He turned away. A young Roman general named Scipio destroyed Carthage's armies in Spain, one by one, province by province, cutting the roots. Scipio stood before the Senate and said, "We take the war to Africa." The old man said no. Scipio said anyway. Roman ships landed near Carthage. For the first time in 15 years, the war had come home to Carthage's door. The dispatch arrived in Italy. Come home. Hannibal looked at the hills he had fought through for 15 years, then packed. Croton Harbor. The veterans who crossed the Alps, won Trebia and Trasimene and Kenny, boarded ships. Italy watched them leave. Zema. Scipio had studied Cannae so completely he designed a counter for every move. The student had learned the whole lesson. Hannibal sent the elephants. Scipio opened lanes in the Roman line and let them through. The greatest weapon in the ancient world neutralized. The cavalry returned. The flanks closed inward. Cannae in reverse. Hannibal watched his own masterpiece close around his own army. Before the battle, the two men met between the armies. Talked. Both knew the negotiation would fail. Rode back. Began. Carthage survived Zema. No navy, no elephants. No empire, just the city, the harbor, and 50 years of tribute. Hannibal spent his last years moving between foreign courts. Always one step ahead of Rome's demands, a soldier with no army, no country. The Romans came to the door. Hannibal reached for the poison he had kept for exactly this moment. Composed, deliberate, done. Rome became an empire. Built on roads Hannibal forced them to build. Armies Hannibal forced them to reform. Resolve Hannibal forced into them. Carthage was erased 50 years after Zema, the city destroyed so completely that today only foundation stones remain. The silence is total. Centuries later, Roman officers still studied Cannae, traced the double envelopment with their fingers. The enemy became the textbook, a burning line on an ancient map. Carthage to Iberia, over the Alps, through 15 years of Italy, back to Africa. The greatest campaign that didn't win, the Mediterranean. The Alps, the plain of Cannae, a civilization shaped forever by the one man who almost ended it. Then silence.